August 16, 1977. Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. Ambulances pierce the silence of a sweltering afternoon. Inside the most famous mansion in the United States, a 42-year-old man lies motionless on the marble bathroom floor. His swollen and deteriorated body barely resembles the dazzling young man who once captivated audiences worldwide. Elvis Aaron Presley has died. The news explodes like dynamite in every corner of the planet. Millions mourn a stranger they felt was one of their own. Entire flower shops empty out, heading for Memphis. Vinyl records fly off the shelves. But amidst the global mourning, one question arises relentlessly. How did the king of rock and roll meet such a tragic end? To understand the fall, we must first return to the origin, to a place where no one would have bet a penny on that blue-eyed boy with the crooked smile. January 8, 1935, Tupelo, Mississippi. In a two-room house built of cheap wood and rusty nails, Gladys Presley gives birth to twins. The first, Jesse Garon, is stillborn. The second, Elvis Aaron, arrives 35 minutes later, crying with the force of two. Gladys will never recover from that loss. Elvis will grow up feeling the invisible weight of a phantom brother, the constant feeling that he must live for two. The Presley family is poor. Not poor in the modern sense of the word, but Depression-era poor. No reliable electricity, no hot water, no hope in sight. Vernon Presley, the father, works whatever jobs he can find. Farms, factories, temporary jobs that never last. In 1938, he's arrested for forging a check. Desperation has that effect on men. Gladys clings to Elvis with an almost religious intensity. She calls him her baby, even when he's no longer one. They sleep in the same bed until he's too old for it. She teaches him that the world is dangerous, that he can only trust her, that it's the two of them against everything. The Assemblies of God, a small Pentecostal church in Tupelo, is the family's refuge. Every Sunday, Elvis watches as the congregation falls into a trance, shouting, crying, moving their bodies uncontrollably under what they call the Holy Spirit. Gospel music is not just melody, it is ecstasy, it is liberation, it is emotional survival. Elvis absorbs everything. The rhythms, the raspy voices, the way music can possess an entire body. In 1945, for his 10th birthday, Gladys bought him his first guitar. It cost $12.95, money the family barely had. Elvis wanted a bicycle or a rifle, but Gladys knew something he didn't understand yet. Music would be his way out. The boy learns chords on street corners in Tupelo, watching black musicians in Shake Rag, the segregated neighborhood where white people don't dare to go at night. There he hears blues, rhythm and blues, black gospel, sounds that his white Southern world considers the devil's music. But Elvis doesn't see color in music. He only feels its power. 1948, the Presley family moves to Memphis, Tennessee, looking for work and a less miserable future. They settle in Lauderdale Courts, public housing for low-income families. Elvis is 13 years old and a stranger in his own skin. Too sensitive for the tough kids, too poor for the popular kids. But Memphis is different from Tupelo. Here, on the streets of Beale Street, blues and rhythm and blues explode from every nightclub. Black artists like B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf make guitars wail and pianos tremble. Elvis walks those streets, absorbing every note, every shout, every lament. He also discovers fashion. Pink shirts, eye-catching jackets, his hair slicked back into a rebellious quiff. It's his armor against invisibility. In 1953, fresh out of high school, Elvis works as a truck driver for the Crown Electric Company. He earns $35 a week. His future seemed sealed. He will be a hard-working, poor, forgettable man. But then, on a hot summer day, he pushes open the door of a small recording studio on Union Avenue. Its name? Sun Records. July 1954. Elvis pays $4 to record 2 songs as a gift for his mother. Sam Phillips, the owner of Sun Records, pays no attention at first. He's just another dreamer. But Phillips has an obsessive vision: to find a white singer who can authentically perform black music. He has told his secretary, "If I find a white man with the sound and sensibility of a black man, I'll make $1 billion." Months later, Phillips calls Elvis for a rehearsal session with guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black. The first few hours are a disaster. Elvis is nervous, tense, and out of tune. During a break, almost out of boredom, Elvis begins to play "That's All Right," a blues song by the black artist Arthur Crudup. But he plays it differently, faster, wilder, with frenetic energy. Scotty and Bill team up. The rhythm explodes. Sam Phillips shouts from the cockpit, "What are you doing?" "We don't know," they reply. "Then do it again, right now." They record the song. It's imperfect, raw, magnetic. It doesn't sound like country music. It doesn't sound like rhythm and blues. It doesn't sound like anything that existed before. They've invented something new. Disc jockey Dewey Phillips, no relation to Sam, plays "That's All Right" on his radio show WHBQ on the night of July 19th. The studio phone lines are jammed. Listeners demand to know who the singer is. Some believe he is black. Dewey interviews Elvis live that same night. Astutely, he mentions that Elvis attended Humes High School, an all-white school. The message is clear: he's one of us. But when Elvis begins performing live, something happens that no one anticipated. It's not just the voice, it's the body. On stage, Elvis trembles, his legs shake uncontrollably, his hips twist, his face contorts. It's as if the music is tearing control of his own muscles away. The girls in the audience scream, cry, faint. They've never seen a white man move like that. The parents are horrified. The newspapers call him obscene, dangerous, a threat to youthful morals. In some performances, the police film him to determine if he is committing a crime. But the young people cannot look away. Elvis Presley is not just a singer. He's a cultural earthquake. And the world of 1954 is not ready for what's coming. But someone is watching from the shadows. A man who will see in Elvis not a revolution, but a gold mine. A man who will make the king a prisoner. His name is Tom Parker, and he's about to change everything forever. Tom Parker isn't a colonel of anything. The title is a farce, a ceremonial honor bestowed by the governor of Louisiana. But Parker uses it as a shield, as a brand, as the first of thousands of lies. In reality, he is Andreas Cornelius van Kuyk, an illegal Dutch immigrant who fled Europe in 1929 under murky circumstances. He will never obtain American citizenship. He will never be able to leave the country without risking not being able to return. This dark secret will determine Elvis's entire career. Parker is a promoter of carnivals and charlatans. He's managed mediocre country singers, but he possesses a brutal talent for extracting money from any situation. When he sees Elvis in 1955, he doesn't see art, he sees a product. Parker approaches Elvis with dazzling promises, major record deals, national television appearances, worldwide fame. Elvis, barely 20, is overwhelmed. Gladys distrusts the colonel from the start. There's something reptilian in his eyes, something hungry. But Vernon, the father, sees money. Parker offers to sign contracts that seem generous, 25% for him, 75% for Elvis. Industry standard. Nobody reads the fine print. In 1956, Elvis signed with RCA Records for $35,000, an astronomical sum at the time. Parker negotiated the deal, but kept half. Nobody knows that yet. Recordings begin immediately. Heartbreak Hotel is released in January. The song is strange, gloomy, unsettling. RCA executives are nervous, but Elvis believes in it. 6 weeks later, it's #1 on the U.S. charts. 1956. Elvis appears on The Milton Berle Show. He sings Hound Dog with such explicit pelvic thrusts that the press launches a coordinated attack. Newspapers and religious leaders demand censorship. They call him Elvis the Pelvis, a nickname he hates. When he returns to television on The Ed Sullivan Show, the most watched program in the United States, the producers make a historic decision. They will only film Elvis from the waist up. 60 million people tune in. It is the most watched episode in the show's history up to that point. But controversy is exactly what Parker wants. Every scandal sells more records. Every angry pastor generates more curiosity. Parker understands something fundamental. In the United States, outrage is free publicity. Parker has a plan: to turn Elvis into a movie star. Not for artistic reasons, but because movies pay more than music, and Parker controls every aspect of the business. In 1956, Elvis filmed Love Me Tender. He wasn't a trained actor, but the camera loved him. The film was a commercial success. Parker ramped up production, 2 films a year, then 3. But there's a problem. The movies are garbage. Formulaic musicals with ridiculous plots where Elvis sings to girls in bikinis on tropical beaches. Boo Hawaii, Viva Las Vegas, Clambake, empty entertainment designed to maximize profits. Elvis is beginning to detest Hollywood. He wants to make serious films, work with respected directors, prove he's more than just a pretty face. But every time he suggests it, Parker says the same thing. Movies are making money. Why change? The real answer is darker. Parker has negotiated contracts where he personally receives up to 50% of everything Elvis earns. The more movies Elvis makes, the richer Parker becomes. Elvis is trapped. He signed contracts he didn't understand, and the Colonel controls every decision. 1958. Elvis is drafted into the United States Army. Military service could destroy his career, but Parker sees it as an opportunity to transform the sex rebel into a respectable patriot. Elvis is sent to Germany. He hates every minute of it, but he obeys. Before leaving, he manages to spend time with Gladys. She's sick, bloated, and drinking too much. Elvis begs her to take care of herself. August 14, 1958. Elvis receives a call. Gladys has died of a heart attack. She is 46 years old. Elvis breaks down. He cries in public, not caring who sees him. At the funeral, he throws himself onto the coffin, begging her to come back. He is broken in a way that will never fully heal. Gladys was his anchor, his protector, his only connection to the boy he once was. Now he is alone, adrift in a world that adores him but doesn't know him. And Colonel Parker wastes no time. While Elvis is in mourning, Parker signs more contracts, negotiates more films, and expands the empire. The crown is in place, but the cage is already closed. 1960. Elvis returns from the army, a national hero. The rebel has been tamed. He wears smart suits, speaks respectfully in interviews, and smiles in official photos. It's exactly what Parker wanted, a safe product for the whole family. But something crucial has changed. During his 2 years in Germany, music has evolved without him. The Beatles are about to invade the United States. Bob Dylan is redefining what a song can say. While Elvis made formulaic films, the world he helped create has moved on. Even so, the movies keep coming, 3 a year. Elvis arrives on set, sings songs he didn't write, kisses actresses he doesn't care about, cashes his check, and leaves. He's a machine. In private, he's miserable. In Germany, Elvis met Priscilla Beaulieu. She was 14 years old. He was 24. The relationship is disturbing from any modern perspective, But in 1959, on a military base, no one asks questions. Elvis is captivated by her youth, her innocence. Gladys died months earlier. Priscilla fills a void. When Elvis returns to the United States, he convinces Priscilla's parents to let her live at Graceland under the pretense that she will finish high school there. She moves to Memphis, becoming part of Elvis's secretive world. For years, they lived together without getting married. Parker pressured Elvis to keep the relationship a secret. The image of the available bachelor sold more records, more movies, more fantasies. Finally, in May of 1967, they married in Las Vegas. The ceremony was rushed, almost secret. Parker organized it as a press event. 9 months later, Lisa Marie Presley was born. But the marriage is doomed from the start. Elvis has molded Priscilla in his own image. He controls her appearance, her clothes, her social life. She's more of a doll than a wife. And Elvis, unable to connect emotionally since Gladys's death, is more alone than ever. 1965. Elvis takes sleeping pills, waking pills, pain pills, boredom pills. It started in the army, where amphetamines were routine. Now it's a daily habit. His personal physician, Dr. George Nicopolis, nicknamed Dr. Nick, prescribes anything Elvis asks for. It's not medicine, it's complicity. Elvis surrounds himself with a group the press calls the Memphis Mafia, friends, bodyguards, employees who depend on him financially. They are company, but not true friends. They never contradict him, they never say no to him. Graceland becomes a palace prison. Elvis sleeps by day, lives by night. He rents entire theaters after closing time to watch movies alone. He buys cars like candy. He gives away Cadillacs to strangers. Money flows unchecked. Parker doesn't intervene. As long as Elvis spends on himself, he won't question how much the Colonel is keeping. 1968. Elvis hasn't performed live in 7 years. Parker is negotiating a Christmas television special for NBC. The original plan? Elvis singing carols in a festive sweater. But the director, Steve Binder, sees something different. He sees a caged lion. He convinces Elvis to do something radical, return to his roots. Black leather, acoustic guitar, a small audience, no script. Elvis is terrified. What if people don't like him anymore? What if he was just a passing fad? December 3rd, 1968. The cameras are rolling. Elvis sits with his guitar, surrounded by a small audience, and something magical happens. This isn't the polished, smiling Elvis of the movies. This is the Elvis of 1954, raw, dangerous, alive. He sings Trouble, Lawdy Miss Clawdy, One Night. His voice is a roar. His body moves with the same wild electricity as always. The special is a massive triumph. Critics who had dismissed it as a relic now call it the best musical program on television. Elvis has proven something crucial. He can still conquer. But the moment of glory is brief. Parker already has other plans. 1969. Parker negotiates a residency for Elvis at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. 2 shows a night, 57 consecutive performances. It's a prison disguised as triumph. Elvis agrees because it's the only thing he knows now, obeying Parker. The first few weeks are spectacular. Elvis looks slim, energetic, and engaged. He sings hits, tells jokes, and connects with the audience. It's entertainment in its purest form. But then comes the second year, and the third, and the fourth. Las Vegas becomes routine. Same songs, same moves, same audience of tourists and gamblers. Elvis gains weight. The costumes become more flamboyant, more ridiculous, trying to compensate for his lost vitality. The pills increase. The food increases. The isolation increases. Priscilla finally gets tired of it. In 1972, she leaves him. Elvis is devastated, but deep down, almost relieved. The marriage was just another act. And so, the king of rock and roll becomes a Las Vegas employee. Night after night, he takes the stage to fulfill a contract. The crown remains on his head, but it no longer shines. 1973. Elvis is 38 years old, but his body is falling apart as if he were 70. Glaucoma blurs his vision. Irritable bowel syndrome causes him constant pain. His heart beats irregularly. He struggles to go up and down stairs. The concerts become unpredictable. Some nights, Elvis is brilliant, reminding everyone why the world adores him. Other nights, he forgets lyrics, stumbles on stage, and speaks incoherently. The musicians exchange nervous glances. The audience doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. Parker pushes for more dates, more tours, more shows. Elvis is the product, and the product must generate revenue. It doesn't matter if the product is broken. Dr. Nick continues prescribing Demerol, Dilaudid, Percodan, Placidil, thousands of pills a year. The doctor will later say that he was treating Elvis, but the truth is simpler. He was allowing a slow-motion suicide. January 1973. Parker organizes Aloha from Hawaii, the first concert broadcast worldwide via satellite. More than 1 billion people tune in. It is the most watched entertainment event up to that time. Elvis wears a white suit with precious stones, a cape embroidered with an American eagle. He weighs 90 kilos, the thinnest he has been in years. He has prepared obsessively. For 75 minutes, Elvis is perfection. He sings with power, jokes with charisma, and connects with the camera. The world sees the king on his throne. They don't see the amphetamines he took to get there. They don't see the self-imposed hunger. They don't see the pain. This is their last great moment. After Hawaii, the decline will be unstoppable. From 1974 to 1977, Graceland became a living mausoleum. Elvis hardly ever left the house. His employees brought him food at all hours: bacon cheeseburgers, peanut butter sandwiches, fried plantains, and gallons of ice cream. He sleeps until 4 in the afternoon. He watches television all night. He reads books on spirituality, searching for answers he can't find. He calls old friends at 3 in the morning to talk about philosophy, death, and meaning. He is alone, deeply, irreparably alone. The tours continue because the money has disappeared. Elvis spends millions without a second thought. Parker spends millions keeping him in check. Taxes devour the rest. To stay afloat, Elvis must keep performing, no matter the physical toll. The 1977 concerts are painful to watch. Elvis forgets lyrics, stops mid-song, and breathes heavily. Sometimes he doesn't even go on stage. Refunds are constant. Everyone around him knows he's dying. No one is stopping him. August 16, 1977. Elvis spends the night awake at Graceland, playing racquetball with friends, unable to sleep. At 6 a.m., he returns to his room. He tells his girlfriend, Ginger Alden, that he is going to the bathroom to read. She falls asleep. Hours later, around 2 in the afternoon, Ginger wakes up. Elvis hasn't returned. She knocks on the bathroom door. Silence. She opens it. Elvis is kneeling in front of the toilet, his face down on the rug. His body is stiff, stained purple by post-mortem blood pooling. He has been dead for hours. The paramedics arrive. They attempt resuscitation, but it's useless. At Memphis Baptist Hospital at 3:30 p.m., Elvis Aaron Presley is officially declared dead. The official autopsy will say cardiac arrhythmia. The unofficial truth: 14 drugs in his system, a blocked colon, morbid obesity, years of abuse. The king is dead, but the story has only just begun. The weeks following the funeral are chaotic. More than 30,000 people file past the coffin at Graceland. Elvis's records return to the charts. Flowers cover every inch of the property. But Parker doesn't waste any time. He immediately begins exploiting Elvis's death as ruthlessly as he exploited his life. Merchandise, reissues, licensing. He rakes in millions while Elvis's body is still warm. It is discovered that Parker plunged Elvis into deep debt, systematically stole from his estate, and never acted in his client's best interests. But Parker will never face significant legal consequences. However, something extraordinary happens as the years go by. Elvis doesn't disappear. In fact, he grows. Graceland becomes the second most visited home in the United States after the White House. Generations who never saw him in life discover his music. His face appears in murals, tattoos, and works of art. He becomes greater in death than in life. Why? Because Elvis Presley was never just a man. He was an idea. The idea that a poor kid can conquer the world. The idea that music can break down barriers. The idea that raw talent can overcome any obstacle. But it was also a warning about the cost of fame, about predatory men who turn dreams into chains, about how a system can consume even its biggest stars. Elvis died alone in a bathroom, his body ravaged, his fortune squandered, his potential wasted. But he left behind something no one can destroy, a voice recorded on millions of records, a legacy that resonates in every strumming guitar, every swaying hip, every poor kid who looks to the stars and dares to dream. The king is dead. Long live the king. And the question remains, hanging in the air like the echo of Heartbreak Hotel in an empty room. Was the crown worth it? Elvis never answered that question. Perhaps he never knew the answer. But her life forces us to ask ourselves the same question.